Hi guys, this video is going to be Sagittarius and how to tell if they like you. It's also going to go over what Sagittariuses are like when it comes to love and relationships. So it's going to be a pretty in-depth video. I do have shorter, more to the point videos about Sagittarius when it comes to love and relationships. I will link them up here when they're available. Sagittariuses are born anywhere between November 22nd and December 21st. If you're on the cusp of either end of that, feel free to message me to find out your sun sign or click on the website that I list down below. Sagittarius is the sign of the archer, the element of fire, the quality of mutable, and it is ruled by the planet Jupiter. You can watch this video if the person you're interested in is in the sun sign of Sagittarius, or even the Venus or moon they have is in Sagittarius. Or say you know somebody who has their sun sign in Sagittarius and their Venus in Gemini, you could watch both videos for that to kind of get a better understanding of who they are. Or you could watch this video about yourself, because why not? This video is going to be long enough, so you might as well find multiple purposes for it. I'm going to be splitting up this video into different parts. First, we're going to be talking about who is a Sagittarius really. Then we'll move on to what are they looking for when it comes to relationships and love. How do you know you're dealing with a Sagittarius without having to ask for their birthday? What really gets their gears grinding? What do they like? What brings their gears to a screeching halt? What do they not like? Are they interested in you? How to get them to notice you. Are they not interested in you? Let's go! Sagittarius are an array of energy just rolled up into one person. They are the adventurers of the zodiac. They're philosophical, ever-changing, ever-hoping. They do have a lot of energies that are scattered and all over the place, and sometimes it can be hard for Sagittarius to direct their energy, into one or just a couple different focuses. It's really hard to put this person in a mold or a box because they will just, switch into the next mold or jump into the next box. Sagittariuses are like the free spirit sign. They love to travel, they love to roam, they love to explore and learn. They really like to move forward in life. They tend to be more optimistic. Like I said, they're roamers. They're going to have a quest for knowledge in the world around them, and it may happen sooner or later in their lives, but a lot of Sagittariuses will also turn this quest for knowledge inward and focus on themselves as well. They can be very philosophical, spiritual, possibly religious, and they can be quite intuitive, and I feel like a lot of times people think of the water signs as the intuitive ones, but Sagittarius is right up there with being an intuitive sign. They're also really easygoing. They can be really honest and open, very direct and to the point. Sometimes they can be a little too direct, which comes across as blunt or rude, and they might not mean to, or they might mean to, but they say what they mean. They can be a little bit manipulative, they're really good with people, but sometimes they just don't have the tact, and they'll just say something and offend somebody, and they don't really care because they just like to speak the truth or whatever their truth is in that moment. They want to just get to the point, and sometimes this can get them in trouble, talking to people, putting stuff online, whatever, is going on, it can get them into a little bit of trouble. So I mentioned that they have scattered energies, and it can be really difficult for a Sagittarius because sometimes, they have all these ideas, they're big ideas people, and it's really hard for them to just kind of narrow down what they really want to be focusing on, and they have all this energy in all these different places, but it never really seems to get anywhere because they can't put them into one spot. In addition to that, they can be a little bit flighty or unreliable. And to a Sagittarius, one of the most important things is humor. So a Sagittarius loves to laugh. They love to make other people laugh. They love to find the funny parts of situations. But they're not trying to be serious all the time. They want to have a good time. They want to laugh and, be light and funny. Sagittarius actually really like to be in charge. They enjoy that position. You might not notice it right away, or they might do it in the more subtle way, but they do like to be in charge. They're ruled by Jupiter, so they tend to have opportunities come their way often. They might have luck run on their side, opportunities falling into their lap. They might not notice this for themselves, but if you know a Sagittarius and you're not one, then you may have noticed this before. Sagittarius are the type to take risks, even if the odds aren't looking good for them, and this might have something to do with the luck that they tend to have on their side because of Jupiter. But like I said, a lot of opportunities will fall into their lap, and they do tend to be quite intuitive. So sometimes they might do something and you're like, why are you doing that? It doesn't really make sense. And then it works out for them, and it's because it felt right. In their gut, it just felt like it was the right thing to do. And again, they tend to be optimistic, so they will take chances that maybe other people wouldn't take. Sagittarius can be a little bit judgmental. You know, their opinions of things are quite strong, but at the same time, they do believe in treating others equally, and treating others kindly is very important to them. They can be quite opinionated. They do tend to stick to their own way, and at times it can be really tough for them to hear other people's opinions or beliefs. Sagittarius can be very generous people. They always want to help or give others a hand, or, you know, they're really generous with their stuff and their time. Okay, so now we know a bit about Sagittarius as a person. Let's get to the good stuff. What are Sagittarius looking for when it comes to relationships and love? To answer my own question, nothing. They don't want a relationship. I'm just kidding. But in all seriousness, Sagittarius do tend to be the type to not settle down easily. Their independence is important to them, and they're always just roaming and, you know, looking over here, and then this is interesting and catches their attention, and then they kind of want to do this. So it can be tough for them, especially younger Sagittarius or less mature Sagittarius, to settle down into relationships. But don't worry, I know plenty of Sagittarius that are in committed relationships, happy relationships, and they have been for a long time. So it definitely can happen. Ideally, a Sagittarius wants a partner that can give them their freedom, but also be 100% devoted to them at the same time, which is a very fine line to figure out. They want somebody who's going to let them do what they want when they want to, but at the same time, they expect this person to kind of be at their beck and call and, you know, be there and ready to give them all the attention they want and need when they want it. Again, it might take a while for a Sagittarius to settle down into a relationship. They can get into them, especially if they're matured somewhat or older, but it can be really hard to pin them down. Not that we're trying to pin anybody down, but a Sagittarius, it can just be hard for them to settle into a relationship and to commit. They might jump around dating, or they move from relationship to relationship seamlessly. You might think they're committed, but then they're kind of over it and on to the next. You know, they could be into it for a bit, and then they just lose interest, and the next exciting thing comes along, and they have to just, you know, go for that. Sagittarius love to have experiences. They want to try pretty much everything once, at least. And that includes all sorts of relationships because they want to experience it all. So all different types of people and situations. In a relationship, they want a partner that can handle them. And to be honest, sometimes it can be a lot to handle. So it can be tricky because they're not always willing to compromise right away. Another thing Sagittarius are looking for in a relationship is somebody that they can joke around with and just have a good time with. They don't want to be serious all the time. They want somebody that they can joke around with, have fun with, explore with, have great sex with, have awesome chemistry with, all at the same time. They don't necessarily need the intensely deep emotional connection. More than they need that emotional connection, they just need the relationship to feel right. So even though travel is often associated with Sagittarius, they don't always need to be on the go. They just need to feel like they're living and experiencing and not going through the same daily motions every day, every week. So that being said, they can have just as much fun hanging around and watching TV as they would going off to explore a country they've never been to before. In a relationship, Sagittarius tend to be highly optimistic and they really crave a lot of positivity from their partner. At the same time, if something happens to disappoint them or hurt them, they can get really depressed and seemingly very dramatic. They're the type to have these low moments that are, you know, the end of the world type of lows, but then they do pick themselves up pretty quickly and get back at it, and that's that eternal optimism that Sagittariuses have on their side. So even if terrible things happen in their relationships, they do tend to be the types that keep wanting to give it a try. They really would want a partner who can talk to them about all sorts of things and who can talk to them about their experiences and share that with them. And also they want a partner who wants to hear about what they've done and they want to be able to teach another person as well. They really just want to be themselves. They want a partner who can understand that they want to be themselves. And Sagittarius can be very open-minded people. So yes, they have their opinions and their beliefs on things that can be pretty set. I mean, their mind is willing to change, but they can be opinionated, but at the same time, they're open-minded and they're willing to hear another person out. They're totally open to all sorts of different kind of people or different situations. Ultimately, just like the rest of us, they want to feel happy in their relationship. But in order to do that, they need to have a purpose in their life that is not just the relationship. They have to be pursuing whatever it is that they want to pursue as well, and they can't just be all about the relationship all the time. That'll just never work for a Sagittarius. So how do you know you're dealing with a Sagittarius without asking them their birthday? A Sagittarius might be talking a lot, cracking a lot of jokes. They might say something to you that's particularly blunt or honest, and you're like, Sagittarius tend to have that free spirit type of vibe, or some of them can be very athletic type of vibe. I mean, you might find Sagittarius that aren't either, but A lot of them are the free spirit types or the really athletic types. They might be showing off or joking around, cracking loud jokes for everyone to hear, or showing off, something physical or their mental abilities or something they've just learned or something they've known forever, but like they'll probably be pretty expressive about it. They could be heatedly discussing something, like their opinions or beliefs on something, politics, something along those lines. They're really not afraid to speak their mind or get into an argument with somebody that they disagree with. So they might be having an argument, in the corner with somebody. They tend to move around a lot. They tend to have high energy, especially in settings where they want to be. So it gets their gears grinding. What do they like? They want somebody that can keep up with them, somebody that can do all the things that they want to do, even if it's just hanging around watching comedy movies and eating popcorn. They want somebody who's gonna be down for that, or somebody that's also gonna be down for moving to a different country on a whim. Somebody who's positive and optimistic, at least for the most part. They can't really deal with constant negativity or really heavy emotions. It's just tough for a Sagittarius to do well with that. Somebody who's funny or has a similar sense of humor to them is something that they will really like. In addition to that, somebody that's not easily offended, that can roll with the punches, because Sagittarius will definitely be throwing them, not like punches, but you know what I mean, like the really honest jokes. Someone open-minded, of course, and somebody with wisdom and experience to offer them. Somebody, like I said earlier, that can teach them something, who's also open to being taught themselves. But if you're completely different from them, that's totally fine. They are definitely the type that would go for the opposites attract, but they don't care. They would be way more into that anyways. And somebody that's okay with spontaneity, okay with not having a routine, okay with them being late, okay with them forgetting things, okay with last minute plan changes, stuff like that. Somebody that can kind of go along with that without complaining. They'd be really into that. Or somebody that's equally as spontaneous as them. What gets the gears grinding to a screeching halt? What do they not like? Alright, so though they are the bluntest sign in the zodiac, don't be blunt with them. I know, it makes no sense, but it's true. Sagittarius can actually be easily offended, so just be careful about making the types of jokes that they make back in their direction. They don't like to be criticized at all, and sometimes they really can't handle what they dish out. They don't want to deal with somebody that's really rigid and can't break away from a plan, a routine. Anybody that's closed-minded is just going to be off the list for a Sagittarius. If somebody's clingy, they're not going to be able to deal with that. They don't like that. But at the same time, they don't like when somebody doesn't give them the attention that they desire. But if somebody gives them too much attention and makes them feel like they have no freedom, they don't like that. I know, it's complicated. They're really not going to be into somebody that's overly sensitive and can't take a joke. Someone that's unwilling to explore physically or even just, with their mind. If you criticize them or point out their flaws, you can just say goodbye. They don't really like it when somebody's more practical than passionate. They can understand some practicality, but they prefer to go with, what I said, feels right. So if somebody's always being really reasonable and realistic about things constantly, it's going to be hard for them to deal with that. Are they interested in dating you? So how to tell? Are they using humor to flirt with you? Are they making jokes? Are they laughing? They might directly inform you that they like you. Sagittariuses can be direct. So they might walk up to you and just be like, I like you. Let's date. Or they could use very obvious flirting tactics or really cheesy pickup lines, stuff like that. They might try to teach you something or share their knowledge or experience with you. For instance, if they're really into yoga, they'll start talking to you about it, offer to teach you some poses, do a yoga class with you, even if you didn't ask. If they're around you, they'll probably show off in some type of way. They'll have sex with you. They don't really need to wait. If they're interested in you, that's something that they're going to want to experience with you. They don't really see a huge point in waiting for the most part. Of course, some people do. They'll probably talk to you about stuff that isn't trivial, like their experiences. I keep saying that word, but their experiences in life, politics, different beliefs. They will give you their attention. And that can be tricky because a Sagittarius's attention can just be in a million different places at once. So if you feel like they're actually focused on you, that's a really good sign that they're interested in you. They'll find ways to be around you, They'll make friends with your friends. They'll show up at things that you're at. They'll find ways to just be in your presence. And we talked earlier about how they're generous, but Sagittarius will be very generous to you, especially if they're interested in you. Okay, so you're interested in the Sagittarius, but you don't feel like they've noticed you yet. Here's some tips on how to get them interested in you or how to get them to notice you. And I just want to say before we go any further that I am not trying to tell anybody to change themselves for another person. It just isn't worth it. Don't do it. Like, don't bother with it. These are just some things if you already have going on for you just to highlight, and a Sagittarius might pick up on it. You know, if they're just really not turning in your direction and you're like, hey, I'm over here. These are just some tips to get them to be like, oh, that person's awesome. But never waste your time. Don't change for anybody, okay? Get to know a Sagittarius' sense of humor or just understand it and make a joke that you know that they'd be into. They will definitely notice you if you do that. Just don't make fun of them. Don't do it. Give them a really unique compliment, something that they don't hear very often. Don't just like pull something out of a hat though. Make sure it's a compliment that actually suits them. Get them to do something fun with you that's outside of the box, or just get them to think about something in a different way, and they'll be intrigued. Go ahead and engage with them on things like spirituality, politics, UFOs. Ask them for help with learning something. They are more than happy to do that for you, especially if it's something that they're knowledgeable on. And that will most certainly put you on their radar. Teach them something, offer to teach them something, especially something new and exciting. Give them a new experience or figure out what it is about you that you can highlight that will be exciting for them. Something that they haven't learned yet or they haven't immersed themselves in yet. For example, they know nothing about cooking and you really love to cook. Teach them how to cook, make them something, bake them something. That being said, Sagittarius tend to be very drawn to food. So again, offer to cook with them. Bring them some home-baked goods and they'll be like, thank you. Make them something to eat or drink and they will notice you. How to tell if they're not interested and if you should just move on and let the ship sail away. They don't joke around with you or you notice they don't laugh when they're around you. That's a big sign that they are probably not interested. They majorly disagree with you on something. And then they get into an argument with you to prove a point. Now that doesn't necessarily mean they're not interested. Sometimes they can do that and that's like fun for them. But if they do that and other things that I'm about to mention, then that's definitely a sign that you may have offended them or that they might just feel like they can't agree with you on anything. They don't listen to you, or if they're just a little bit distracted, they don't make time to listen to you. In addition to that, they might just seem really distracted around you all the time. They make plans with you and then they don't follow through and they don't let you know why. Sagittarius can be flighty. They might make a date with you and then show up an hour late, not show up at all, schedule a rain date. But if they're interested, they'll at least give you a call or a heads up or try to reschedule or let you know what happened. If they just do none of that and they just totally forgot, then it's not a good sign. They don't tell you that they're interested in you in any way or even hint at it at all. Sagittarius are probably going to tell you that they're into you in some way or at least heavily hint at it after some time spent together. So if they're not doing it, then they're probably just not interested. They have a really low energy level around you. You know, they tend to be high energy, not all the time, but they do have a lot of energy. And when they're around somebody that they like, that will pick up. But if they have a lower energy around you, then that would be a sign. Sagittarius is the archer. They're a hunter. If you are the object of their affection, it would be hard for you not to know it. They might be quiet about it at first, but ultimately, if they have their attention on you, they're not going to stop until they have at least made an effort. So that's Sagittarius on how to tell if they like you, what they're like when it comes to relationships and love. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like the video, feel free to give it a thumbs down. If you're a Sagittarius, leave a joke in the comments. You know you want to. I make videos about astrology and love, so if you're interested in that, subscribe. I will see you in my next video. Thanks for watching, and have a good day or night.